And welcome back to GBS Morning Extra. If you are just joining us, you're watching us live from our studios here in Nairobi. And as I promised earlier, today I'm joined by a youthful leader in studio. And of course, we are going to discuss matters BBI. We're going to look at how the country or the Kenyan government is handling the coronavirus issue. We saw the press conference from the South African health minister who expressed a lot of confidence in how their government is handling the issue and their communication with their citizens who are in Wuhan, those who are willing to be repatriated back home, and so on and so forth. But in the Kenyan situation, we're still seeing a situation where the country or the government is more focused on the preparedness here and is really actually not telling us much about the communication between the government and the people who are in Wuhan. We know that Kenya has students in Wuhan, and we've seen also their families come out and speak, and they're all calling for their family members to be brought back home for safety. Well, recently, or this weekend, the president formed a committee to make ready an emergency center, at a quarantine emergency center at the Mbagathi Hospital. And here is what the president said earlier. Let's listen to this before we start our discussion.
And we must root out the problems and the challenges that are in front of us and are denying us the ability to achieve that. You're an experienced officer, Mutai, and this is not your first time to serve in government. You've served in so many other different portfolios, and I expect you to use your full skill and knowledge to help us achieve this particular objective, while at the same time dealing and confronting with emerging challenges such as the coronavirus. And there is an executive order that I have signed today, which I expect you to begin implementing immediately, so that we can ensure that our Kenyans and our people generally are safe from this pending problem.
Well, indeed, that's the president over the weekend. And I'm joined now by my guest. Karibu sana kwa studio. Maybe just introduce yourself to our viewers and tell them who you are and what you do.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Kimura Njoki. I'm a youth leader from Nyeri County. Yeah.
Karibu. Now, Njoki, let's look at it in this way. The Kenyan government is, the president himself has been very quiet about the issue, addressing the issue of coronavirus. And there have been a lot of, I would say, fake news being spread on social media in regard to the same. People sending fake alerts about, avoid this area, avoid that area, or these cases have been had, in this area and cases in that area. And for all that time, although we've seen the outgoing CS for Health, Ms. Cecil, trying to address the issue, but then it hasn't really gotten into Kenyans, because with the silence of the president and I would call it, the coronavirus issue is a global issue. It's a global threat right now, and it's not something that is very easy. And how do you think, or what do you think Kenyans have taken or have read into the silence, the long silence that the president kept for a long time about the issue?
I think first of all, I'll start by commending all Kenyans on social media, because before the president came out on the issue of coronavirus, Kenyans went on social media, and the uproar on social media caused the president to act by issuing the executive order.
Yes.
It was through the social media that we saw two patriotic Kenyans rush to court to obtain orders, stopping all flights from entering the country.
Yeah, from China.
From China. And one of them was the newly elected LSK President Nelson Havi. The president's long silence was caused by the uproar on social media. And every Kenyan took his right to press the government to release, to give such an executive order from the president. Yeah.
But then the issue of students, Kenyan students who are in Wuhan, and in other parts of China, which have equally been affected by the virus. You know, countries like South Africa, the country, actually the government is talking about repatriating and reaching out to their people and repatriating them back to the country, to South Africa, that is. But then the Kenyan government is not talking about that yet.
I think on that part, the Kenyan government is failing its citizens.
Despite the families actually coming out, I think, a week ago and trying to plead with the government, please bring our children back home.
Yes, the government is actually failing its citizens because the first mandate of a government is to protect its people,
yes,
whether in Kenya or abroad.
Or outside there.
Because while they are abroad, they are still Kenyans. And the government should take all measures necessary to bring them back to the country. Because by them being in Wuhan, and we know that the first case of coronavirus was reported in December 31st, 2019.
Yes.
When the first case of coronavirus was reported, the government should have taken measures to bring back those who are in that area, because they are exposing Kenyans dangerously outside, far away from home. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we've seen also families, you know, complain that they have not been actually, they're communicating with their family members there. And we saw the other time a woman who was really pleading with the government and saying, you know, because of the quarantine, their children cannot even leave their houses, and some of them are even running out of food and money because they cannot not also access banks and other services, and they're pleading with the government to bring them back home. But then nothing yet so far.
I think that's the biggest failure by our government. Mm-hmm. Our government is involved in so much talks without actions. Mm-hmm. They keep promising the families here in Kenya, and we know that the greatest love comes from a family level.
Sure.
The families in Kenya are in agony because of their relatives in China.
Yes.
And it's the government's duty through the embassy in China to avoid talks and bring those who are in Wuhan back to the country.
Back to the country.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the uproar, I think part of the uproar that, you know, caused Kenyans to lose it on social media is until the other day, we see flights from China coming into Kenya and bringing on Chinese, you know, nationals and other people who are traveling from China, maybe doing their business or going about their own issues. But then why is it that the Kenyan government could not take that window of opportunity when they still allowed flights to come back to Kenya? Of course, take them through the required screening and make sure that they had come back home. Why did it take them so long?
The issue of flight coming to Kenya, carrying 239 passengers to Kenya, that was a great disappointment by our country. Because at the airport there were people who usually line up to welcome visitors to our country, and those are the first people who could get such risk of coronavirus if someone was infected.
Sure.
In other view, considering Kenya's position as an international transport hub, we can be in such a dilemma stopping transport coming to the country or such flights. But the government would be in a dilemma. But in another view, it is the government mandate to protect its citizens, so all those who are in that plane could have been tested for coronavirus, and as the court directed, they should not be told to go and self-quarantine for 14 days.
Sure, it didn't make any sense.
It did not make sense. They could have been taken to a military hospital for the 14 days, so that they could be quarantined from there and their status being checked on.
And then, I mean, yes, the presidential order comes out, and he gives the health ministry, you know, a period of time to, you know, take care of the issue and to prepare a place in Bagadi where they can be able to contain or to quarantine those people who are, you know, being tested and so on and so forth. But then the executive order, hasn't it come a little bit too late? Because if there's anyone with the virus right now, probably they're outside there.
I don't think that the executive order has come too late, because, you know, prevention is better than cure. What the executive order was simply saying is that it's telling the Ministry of Health to be prepared, because the virus can come into any time. so far there's no any single case that has been reported of coronavirus in
confirmed
Kenya.
By the government.
Have been confirmed by the government of coronavirus in Kenya. On the issue of giving isolation centers at Bagathi Hospital, I think that's too low for the government, because China is far much better than Kenya, and they constructed a hospital in 10 days.
In 10 days.
And yet they have not been able to conquer or prevent the coronavirus from spreading. So I think the government should prevent flights from entering into the country other than giving isolation centers.
Now, before we finish on that, there's been a lot of fake news on social media. I mean, Kenyans have also, participated in spreading a lot of videos and, information like avoid this place, avoid that place. I mean, do you think this should stop among Kenyans, as much as we have the freedom to express ourselves and also to raise alert? But then, don't you think this is also causing unnecessary panic among the populace?
I think the spreading fake news on social media, every Kenyan should stop from that, because social media will cause panic among people and can cause discrimination among foreigners who are in the country.
Sure.
Because there was a video spreading that there's this man from China who was in town. He was not even looking sickly, but people were avoiding him. That's sending a bad image of our republic to foreigners.
Sure.
And we Kenyans are generous people and welcoming people.
Yeah.
So only true facts should be spread on social media, because true facts leads to government acting, like we saw the president acting on the executive order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless it's confirmed, Kenyans, let's avoid, victimizing innocent people, and also let's not just think because he looks Chinese or because he's a Chinese then he has the virus. I mean, it's not really good to do that. Well, I would like us also now to tackle another issue. Politics. Over the weekend, we saw the BBI Politics, and it was quite heated this time. We saw Murkomen, going in there and trying to, turn the meeting inside out, revisit, talking about if we are to respect the president, then let's also respect and agree that he won the election, which was very controversial. And I'm not sure, but then what he intended to achieve with that. But thankfully, I think we never saw any confrontation that, like what we witnessed the other time, where they were roughed up by supporters and also by officials in the meeting. But, what is the Tanga Tanga team what message are they trying to send by infiltrating meetings and and walking out with a crowd like they did yesterday? And some people are also alluding to it that they had a paid crowd. Your take on that?
I think what happened in Meru BBI rally was anticipated, because prior to the meeting, there were numerous or several press conferences by leaders from Tanga Tanga, claiming that Raila is not welcomed in the mountain region. So what happened was actually anticipated, and what Murkomen was trying to show was show of power, that the DP has conquered the mountain region, and that Raila still has a view from the people that he's an enemy of the region. But actually, what Murkomen did was disrespectful to the people of the mountain, because he is not a leader from the region, and he walked out with Moses Kuria. Although Moses Kuria did not give his speech,
he was not given a chance to speak.
He could have waited for the people to give out their resolutions to the Haji team before walking out. So what Moses Kuria and Kipchumba Murkomen did was disrespectful to the people of the mountain.
So, they tried to score, but then do you want to tell me that by making that move, then, they spoiled everything for themselves?
I think Moses Kuria actually, right now he's viewed as they call him Jabaya Rorere, meaning elder or a warrior of the community. So what he actually did, he wanted to do that to show his people, to show the people of the mountain that you know, right now the mountain region is looking for a kingpin after Uhuru Kenyatta.
Sure.
So what Moses Kuria did before the ODM brigade or the Kieleweke brigade showed the people that Moses Kuria actually has the bravery to do such things before Raila Odinga. And the people actually applauded him and saw him as if he's a person who can defend the community.
But there are claims that they ferried that the group that worked out with them was just a small group, and not really like the chunk of like the big, It was not a really big crowd. Yes, we saw it on camera, the two walking out, and a few supporters following them. But then, does that mean anything? Does that mean that because, like you said at first, it's disrespectful because to the people of the mountain region, because when you go to such a meeting and you're given a chance to speak, you don't just walk out and the meeting is still ongoing. I mean, that's cheap politics, if I may put it that way.
I think the issue of ferrying people was not only on the part of Tanga Tanga, because I was actually along Nairobi Meru Highway in the evening coming from the BBI rally. And we could see school buses ferrying people from Meru to other areas. Not only the Tanga Tanga MPs ferried people, but the organizers of the BBI rally too had ferried their own people to the rally.
They would say that, they ferried people because it was the mountain region and the meeting was happening in Meru. So people in Nyeri, people in Muranga, people in Kangema would still have to use transport to get there, to represent to be with their leaders and participate in the rally that was meant for the Mount Kenya region.
But also Moses Kuria could say that being a leader from the mountain, he had ferried his own people to go and give the resolutions. And the issue of ferrying people, I don't think that was right for any camp, the Tanga Tanga or Kieleweke. I think every Kenyan should, if he wants to give the resolution to the BBI, should have walked to Kinoru Stadium. Because the issue of ferrying people was one of the causes of the fracas that we saw. Because maybe some were promised some money and given a small amount or lacked the money. So when such fracas occurred, they wanted to show their anger and frustrations. So they frustrated the meeting. Because some leaders who were in Meru, like Alonzo Musyoka, was not able to, he even confessed while speaking that many people had left the meeting.
Yes.
So the views of Mount Kenya region were not well given out in that meeting.
When we look at that, then can we say that the Mount Kenya region is divided as to whether to support or not to support the BBI?
There's a split in Mount Kenya region. And the split is caused by the leaders from the region who are split, some supporting the BBI and others supporting Tanga Tanga. But yesterday we saw the former governor of Kiambu,
yes,
William Kabogo
there,
blaming the organizers of the BBI that they should have assessed the ground. And he said a famous quote that says, "Kwa ground vitu ni different."
Yeah.
I think on the ground in Mount Kenya, the people are not in support of BBI. Because their issue right now, it's fulfillment of the promises that were given by the government. Because in 2017, you remember that there was a huge mass of people coming out to vote.
Yes.
And they wanted to bring back Uhuru Kenyatta into power so that their issues could be addressed.
Yeah.
And now that Uhuru Kenyatta is bringing the issue of BBI, they are seeing it like a coating for them to forget the promises that they were given, because the agriculture sector is not well looked at right now. There are businesses in Gikomba and other places in Nairobi is falling. And they think that BBI is just a coating to make them forget the promises that were given by the president.
We had leaders from the same region talking, and someone like the CS for agriculture, Peter Munya, who also addressed the gathering, we saw him turn his guns on governors around the Mountain Kenya region and blaming them for higher taxation on, cash crops like, coffee and miraa, to be more precise. Is this really a Uhuru administration problem, or are these just problems that, come with the management of individual counties in the region? Because you cannot blame the coffee crisis on the Uhuru regime. I think that would be wrong if you do that.
First of all, what Munya did by blaming the governors, I think, was wrong, because with devolution, the county and national government are separate but interdependent. On the issue of whether coffee issues to blame on the president, during the 2017 campaigns, one thing that the president promised the people of region, and there was an issue that made the people come out in large numbers to vote for him, is that he told them that he's going to tackle the issue of coffee. For example, you see Karatina town in Nyeri County.
Yes.
The town grew because of the coffee farming.
Yes.
Many buildings were constructed through money coming from coffee. Right now, the coffee price is so low that the people cannot do anything much with the money. So the president told the region that he's going to revive the coffee sector, of which he's trying because he has scrapped majority of the debts by the coffee circles.
Yes.
But then, I think it's a failure on both the county and the national government. Yeah, because sometimes you hear of cases of where coffee has been stolen from the factories.
Yeah, there's a lot of theft of coffee.
So that you cannot blame on the national government, because there's a county government and an MCA in that area who
have security. And where is that coffee being sold? Those are the hard questions to ask.
On the issue of miraa, I don't think that's a county thing to deal with, because miraa, it's being exported out of the country.
Yes.
The national government should take issue on that, because back then miraa was being exported to the United Kingdom. And recently we saw the United Kingdom banned miraa in their country. So we do not expect that the county government alone can go to negotiations to plead with the UK government to uplift the ban. Yeah. I think that's a failure also on the national government and the county government. Yeah.
Now, before, I want us to discuss another issue, but then conclusively, I would like us also to just, as we finish up on the BBI issue, do you think that the BBI is able to articulate and address these such similar issues that we are seeing right now? Issues of farming. We saw the other day in Mumias, there was the issue of, reviving the sugar millers and, trying to restore the sugar farming in the country. Now the issue of, central Kenya, be it milk, be it coffee, miraa, and other cash crops that also hail from the region. Do you think that the BBI, as a document, can conclusively address the issues that are affecting these sectors?
First of all, I think the BBI has come at the right time, because the way I view BBI, it's like a chance of a human being meeting God.
All right.
Because when you meet God, you're going to tell him all your problems. And every Kenyan and from every region now is telling the committee of all the problems they have been facing for a long time.
Yes.
The BBI also has been hijacked by politics, so its objective will be hard to achieve. On whether it is going to achieve the issues of farming and sugarcane problems in Western Kenya, I think the BBI is just another set of report, like the TJRC report.
Meaning it will be shelved
and the Dung report. Yeah, it's going to be shelved. It's going to become dusty, and nothing will be achieved or will be implemented.
They're so determined to go into a plebiscite by the end of, I think they were talking about March.
The government has been determined before in giving other laws or other reports, of which we saw the endings. The endings that they'll just give conferences of how they are going to implement the report, but finally they are going to shelve it and continue with the same government that we have been seeing all through.
So are you telling me that you're agreeing with the school of thought that the BBI is only meant to create positions for certain individuals and then forget about the rest of Kenyans.
I'm not on that school of thought because the BBI, as the document itself, it's tackling other major issues. And before in Kenya, you have seen set of laws that have come up. Not every, for example, in our current 2010 constitution,
Yes.
the constitution is a very good document, but not everything in it that has been implemented.
Sure.
And right now, they want to a referendum to amend it, which is like amending a house, which is like renovating a house on construction. Because there's nothing that you're doing.
It's not fully implemented.
Yeah, it's
so
not fully
you're
implemented.
amending a document that has not been fully implemented.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like that one. You know, you said
It's like renovating a house
renovating a house that
on
is still under construction.
Yeah.
Well, I want us to leave the BBI issue at that, but then I want us to look at another very pertinent issue. And over the week, we had Gladys Boss-Sholei criticize the president actually on the takeover by the national government of some, what will I call them, some dockets from the Nairobi County. And according to Gladys Boss-Sholei, that was unconstitutional because according to her own words, Governor Sonko, is not the county government. He is an individual and he should have consulted with the county government to be able to address the issue and agree that, okay, we are in this quagmire, let us, hand over this to the national government for services to be delivered, pertinent services to be delivered to the Kenyans. What do you make of that handing over of key ministries in the Nairobi County government?
The president taking some functions of the county government to the national government, I think it gave a bad impression about the president himself and the national government on devolution. Because the MCS withdrew the minority leader, tabled a motion to impeach Governor Sonko on gross misconduct and violation of the constitution. Him coming out to protect Governor Sonko shows that the president has no concern on the matters of affecting the people of Nairobi. And like Boss-Sholei said, Governor Sonko is not the county government.
Let me just clarify something. You're telling me that by the president, the national government coming in to take up some functions of the county government, that to you interprets to the president protecting a governor who is being impeached? Yeah. Are you saying that instead of taking those functions, then the government should be doing what? Standing aside and just looking at things deteriorating? Because the governor clearly has been barred by the courts from accessing office.
The government, the national government should have waited for the due process to follow, because we had a similar case in Kiambu County and the government did not take some of the functions and they waited for the procedure of the law to follow. And we saw Governor Waititu being ousted and Governor Nyoro.
Someone would want to argue that in the case of Kiambu County there was a deputy governor, but in the case of Nairobi County there is no deputy governor. Hence, then the office of the governor ceases to function with the absence of the governor.
Our law provides for such situations, which is not very clear on appointment of the deputy governor. But I think the president should have waited for a situation where the speaker of the county government will take over as governor for, I think, 14 days.
For 14 days, yeah.
Before an election of the governor is done, or appointment of the deputy governor to take over. What President Kenyatta did is to rush. Although the constitution gives him power to take certain functions of the county government, how I see it is like there is a deal behind it, because after signing the handing over, the Nairobi governor woes have reduced, and it seems like the impeachment, there's a bit of quiet, and it seems like what he's alleged to have stolen from the taxpayers' money will just flow on by the river.
So are you saying that the governor is receiving protection from the national government on the same? Is that what it seemed to be?
That's how it seems to be, that the governor is being protected by the national government.
It's a very serious way to look at it, because clearly there is, as we speak, there is a motion to impeach Governor Sonko that is being tabled. I think was tabled in the county assembly, has not yet been discussed conclusively, which of course we expect that if it should sail through, then we are most likely to see Sonko coming before the Senate, like his counterpart, his Kiambu counterpart, to defend himself, of course, because he also has the right to defend himself through his lawyers and even himself appearing and clearing his name. But then we are not yet there, but already we are seeing a situation where the national government is stepping in to take up some responsibilities. Then the argument by Gladys Boschole is that then the president, the devolution is at stake here. Do you also think the same?
I think the devolution is at stake, and the president is hijacking the process of law. Because although the Constitution gives him the mandate to take some functions of the county government, he should have waited for the process of law to take due course. And yesterday, was it yesterday, that on Saturday, when we saw the government summon, the president summoned Nairobi MCS to State House. And it's a fact that the majority members in the county assembly are from the Jubilee Party. And one of the things that the president asked them is they should drop the impeachment motion. The impeachment motion is brought by the minority leader.
The minority leader, yes.
Since the president has asked the MCs to drop the impeachment motion, with the Jubilee Party having the majority seats, that simply shows you that the president is influencing the decision of the members of the county assembly, and them being the majority from his party and is the Jubilee Party leader. I think the MCS their decision will be influenced by the voice of the president.
So is the head of state twisting MCAs maybe who are not also pleased and who are against what allegedly Sonko has been doing with the county funds?
They may not be pleased, but remember, the president is the head of Jubilee Party, and like I told you, it's a fact that the majority members are from the Jubilee Party. So after being summoned to State House, their mindset while voting or debating the motion will be on what the position of their party, on such matter.
But then, speaking about position of the party and position of the party leader, it's quite interesting because it's not really clear with Jubilee Party whether they are really following the voice of the leader of the party, or whether, because clearly right now as we speak, I'll be forgiven to say this if I'm wrong, but the Jubilee Party right now as we speak has two leaders who are actually almost equally weighing in measure. We're talking about Tanga, and we're also talking about the Kieleweke factions, and I don't know other factions that are there. The leadership or the stability of the party itself is in question, and I don't know if my director has that. I would like us to play a video of the former vice chair of the Jubilee Party, Mr. Murathe, who these are remarks he made during the meeting in Kinoru Stadium. Maybe we can listen to this bite and then we talk about that as we finish.
Mimi naitwa Murathe na mimi naongeaga ukweli. Si mnanijua? Na mimi sitakagi ujinga. Na hapa munisikize vizuri. Mimi nilikuwa vice chairman wa Jubilee. Nikapeana resignation. Tuju ako London, anakuja Wednesday, amepona. Kuna watu wanapanga sijui nini. Chama iko Jubilee iko imara, sawa sawa. Uhuru hata wachia mwizi hii kiti. Mumenielewa? Ama awachie mwizi? Awachie mwizi? Hata wachia mwizi.
I don't want to say anything, but two very important issues here that Murathe is bringing on the table. First, the Tuju factor. Of course, Tuju got an accident when he was going to attend the funeral of the late president, the former president, Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, in Kabarak. He was flown to the UK where he went to receive treatment. Now, Murathe is putting on notice those people who think that Tuju is not coming back anytime soon, who are already arranging themselves to do, preparing for something else, that Tuju is coming back. Secondly, who is this person that Murathe is saying that Uhuru will not leave the position of the party leadership to? That's Jubilee.
First of all, I think on Tuju's issue, the Jubilee party elections, the leadership election in the party are nearing. And there are some people who are aligning themselves to take over as the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party. I think they are the people Murathe is referring to, that Tuju is well and is coming back. Because Tanga fraction of the Jubilee Party view Tuju as an enemy of the party because he aligns himself with the ODM leader Raila Odinga, and they have questioned his trustworthy to the party, and they think they should
His
take over
loyalty
from
to the party.
Yeah, his loyalty to the party, and they think that he should step aside and leave the seat to someone who has loyalty to the
Is
party.
it because of the place that he's, we know Tuju has been very loyal to the president himself, unless he's not loyal to another person, but to the president he has been. Is it because of the area that he hails from?
I don't think it's because of the area he hails from, but I think it's how he has been conducting his affairs. So the Tanga MP seems not to be happy with him associating with the ODM brigade.
And the president himself is associating with the handshake brought them together, and that was Tuju's argument, I think, when he came on media another time. His party leader is now friendly to the opposition. Why shouldn't he be? Why should he be incriminated for that?
Tuju is the Secretary General of the Jubilee Party.
Yes.
And he holds many secrets about the party.
Yes.
And Tanga MPs may be worried of his interactions with the opposition party, because they may think that he may spill off the beans of the party to the to the other party. Should I talk on the issue of
Yes, now the second issue, as we finish, because our time is also, I'm being informed that our time is also almost up.
The second issue of who is Murathe referring to as a thief.
Yeah. Who the president will not leave the party leadership
to the thief. I think it's clear that Murathe is referring to the Deputy President, William Ruto. But that's cheap politics to play in Mount Kenya region, because he was addressing that in Mount Kenya region. The people from the mountain has for a long time been referred to as thieves, which is a fact. And so by Murathe telling the people, a crowd in Kinoru Stadium, that this person, who you call a hustler, is a thief, it is like he's associating him with the people of Mount Kenya region, and they can appreciate him as one of their own.
So they feel like he's one of them, one of their own.
Yeah, and
the same name is being called is this.
Same thing that they
are
being called
for many years.
So that's cheap politics to play in Mount Kenya region, and he was actually giving ground or raising the political star of Deputy President William Ruto in Central Kenya.
Well, finally, in 30 seconds, your view. Do you think that the BBI is sailing through? I
think the BBI will sail through because it has the support of the system, the government, and the BBI will, at the end, it will be passed, and all issues that have been given by the various sections of the Kenya will be in the BBI, and we shall see after passing whether they will be implemented. All right, I would really love to have you back so that we have this discussion further, and also talk about the possibility of President Uhuru Kenyatta not going home, as has been alluded by other people, but then that is not inscribed in the BBI, because
The supporters of the BBI have been very articulate and have been very clear that this BBI is not about creating any position for anyone, but it is about addressing the issues of Kenyans and also addressing the issues that for a long time have not been addressed in Kenya. And as the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga has always been putting it, watu wanakohoa na wanatoa makamasi ile ambayo iko kwa kifua. They should be allowed to do that. What we saw in Narok the other day, what we saw in Meru this weekend, what we also saw in Kakamega and also in Garissa and Mombasa. We do hope that as the meeting also continues, that regions will also be given a chance to speak about their issues. And I'm sorry we could not find time to talk about this, but the regions that are remaining, quite like you're telling me during the break, strongholds of the Deputy President William Ruto, perceived to be.
Yeah.
Well, let's wait and see what that will culminate into. Well, that brings us to the end of our segment this time. Thank you very much for coming to studio, and I do hope that we'll find another chance also to speak to you more.
Yeah.
Viewer, we have come to the end of this segment. For any comments, suggestions, or opinion, please do send that to our SMS 21144. 21144 is the number. Our email is info@gbskenya.com. Our hashtag GBS Morning Extra, and our Twitter handle is @KenyaGBS. My name is Timothy Omondi. I now pave way for my colleague Kevin Nyariki, who is coming up next with the Sports Extra.